musical heritage that
Somewhat.
really encompasses just about everything, from extremely good house music to rock to, well, just around down the road a bit, Tamla Motown.
A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everything. I mean, and of course blues from the Delta, going back to the 20s and 30s and things like that. Were you always aware of that? I mean, were you always a musical person in Chicago, both of you? Was music your thing when you were young?
We've always been really into music. I mean, the whole band, really.
There wasn't much of a scene where we were in the south suburbs, about a half hour south of the city, and wasn't much of a rock scene for us, so it was a bit of a struggle for a band like us to actually break through.
So how did you feed yourself when you were struggling?
Well, we had to really build our following on the south side of Chicago in the suburbs. The inner city clubs were a little too intimidated by a sound as heavy as ours. The city was largely dominated by bands the likes of the Smashing Pumpkins, a little bit more sedate than us. And you know, we had to really bludgeon our way in, build up our following on the south side, and distribute our demo tapes on the street. Did really aggressive street marketing for a while, and within about 3 months or so, our draw in the city by doing that type of marketing tripled. And finally, the inner city clubs saw us as, you know, a commodity that they could not do without.
Okay, so you talk about the city, inner city clubs. How big are they? How many people do they accommodate?
Depends on the club, really.
I mean, one of the top clubs in the city is maybe like 11 or 1,200 seat venue, but a lot of the clubs where we started was only just holding a couple hundred. You know, just the local bars, the only few places that would allow a band like us.
But America's got a great tradition of bar music, hasn't it? I mean, most of the musicians are, or most of the bands are cover bands in reality, but there is a really good tradition of it, whereas we don't have that tradition at all to the same extent. We're a tiny little island, and you're a bloody great landmass, so you would have more, wouldn't you?
We developed quite a good hardcore fan base just by playing these bars and clubs. I mean, for people to, you know, feel like they had a hold on us in the beginning stages, and that, I mean, we see a lot of these same people pop up all over the United States. They'll come to, you know, other cities and they'll drive out to see because they feel, you know, like they were there from the beginning of this all.
Sort of club feeling.
Yeah. It gives them that personal connection to the band, you know, and
which is the best thing,
feel a part of it. Absolutely.
I mean, when you get that, it's a brotherhood feel. It's like really good, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
An understanding and a fantastic buzz as well.
Well, before we came over here for this tour that we're on now, we did 2 more shows back home in Chicago at a smaller venue. We could have played a way larger venue, but we chose to play something that was more, you know, intimate and personal to our, you know, to our fans. So
give something back to them, something special they can talk to other people about.
Shows like that. I mean, some of the greatest gigs I've ever seen in my life are like ZZ Top at the Marquee, 200 people. Rolling Stones at the 100 Club, 150 people. Stuff like that. You know, they're real special. You never forget that stuff. If you're lucky enough to be there. Now, you weren't originally, am I right in saying you weren't originally the singer in the band? The band was a band and you were doing something else. Is that right?
The band is not a band unless it has all 4 components.
Sure, okay.
The other 3 guys were playing together for a little while prior to my joining them. They had known each other from being in the same neighborhood. I came from the north side of Chicago. They were all on the south side. And they knew each other from playing in other projects before and being in the same musical circle, and decided to come together and look for a singer. And they put out an ad in a local music publication, which has a little bit exaggerated at the time. And it looked attractive enough that I went ahead and I called it, and I auditioned for them. And that very first day, we wrote the beginnings to one of the songs on the album.
Which song?
It's called Want.
Okay, well, we're not going to play that now because we don't have it on video. But what we do have on video is this one, Stupefy. This is Disturbed. Stupefy. We have Dan and we have David from the band here. You're a different band. You're very, very different. I've been doing this all my life, playing rock music.
Thank you.
Forever. You have a different take on it. What you do...
Hopefully it's a good one.
It's a damn good one. It's a damn good one in my ears. But, I mean, to me, this is what it is to me. I mean, I get. You're hard, you're harsh, you're vicious, but you're incredibly melodic, and you use lots of emphasis points that other people never, ever pick up on. You're a lot more complex than you appear to be.
Nice hidden aspect to the band.
But there's stuff in there all the time that you pick up on. It must be really difficult in the studio for you guys because there's such a lot going on in that mix.
It's not as difficult as you might think. I mean, what you see and what you've heard is, for all intents and purposes, 100% replicated live. So, you know, getting it to the point where it's studio-worthy is very different. You know, there's a lot of, there's not as much repetition as you might think. But
I mean, we beat on the songs quite a bit before we got in the studio to actually record them. I mean, we pretty much knew, you know, what we were going to put to tape.
Sure.
There was, you know, some experimenting along the way as well, too, you know, just overdubs or whatever, thickening parts up and that. But, you know, we don't write 50 songs and pick our best 12. You know, every song we write, we beat on, and we make sure that we're 100% happy with every single one, and we record them all.
Do you write collectively?
yeah.
All of you?
It's a
the whole band?
collaborative process. It'll start off usually with a riff that Dan will bring in. We'll start improvising ideas around the riff, come in with a drum beat that Mike will start with, and Fuzz will come in with a bass line. I'll start improvising in terms of a melody and a rhythm to the vocal, finalize a structure, and add electronic elements where we feel that they would merit the song. And
actually, I read a press release, and one of you guys said the electronic elements are ear candy.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a very cute
little
way of,
flavor.
Yeah.
That's all it really is. It's not meant to be a, you know, a dominating force in the music. The music is meant to be guitar driven. It's rock, you know, essentially.
Influences? Would you relate to anybody who's an influence to what you do?
I think we have such a wide range of influences. I think, you know, maybe that's somewhat has to do with us sounding a little bit different because we never discussed what we wanted to sound like when we got together. It was just four guys just jamming and improvising. We've all grown up on different things, and we still, all of us have different tastes and stuff, but it's been anything from Black Sabbath, Rush, Metallica, Sex Pistols, Faith No More, bands like Korn and Tool today.
Greatest influences, though, I think, really are one another. You know, none of us... This music was created slowly over time by just our experimentation, just trying different things and feeling each other out musically. So I didn't sing this way, they didn't play this way. This sound didn't exist prior to our furthering it and our developing it. So
because the vocal approach is very different. The emphasis is like becomes part of the melody.
Right.
So it's really clever.
Thank you.
I do admire what you do.
Thank you.
It's really good. What about topping it, though? I mean, this album has attracted a lot of attention. People have, you know, woken up and gone, wow, how are you going to top it?
You can't be haunted by that specter, you know. It's something we're going to have to try to do.
I mean, with each song that we write, each new song, you know, we always, you know, think, oh, this one's better than the last. And we always, you know, it keeps us striving to try to, you know, do better each time. You know, we're always, you know, never 100% satisfied. You know, we're always striving to work harder and feel that there's always room for improvement. There's, you know, each song we feel like we're maturing as writers and as musicians. I think, you know, we would like to see that. I hope that the next album, you know, does show a mature side to the band and shows our, you know, our growth in songwriting.
And we're not really going to concern ourselves too much with, you know, bettering the last album. We're just going to do it. You know, we're going to write what we feel and what comes out of us, and we'll be as meticulous about this album as we were about the last.
The last one is
great.
Superb.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. And this is the track Voices. Get a load of this.